Of course, accepting that Jim is a part of your life changes things. Your politics change. Before knowing Jim, I thought the idea of a Catholic homosexual was absurd. But then I realized that it's just Jim. You take the good, you take the bad, you watch your ass, and there you have. But yeah, I promise you, if you spend more than 2 months with Jim as a friend, he will change your politics. I mean, when I met Jim, I was a right-wing, pro-Christian, pro-life, pro-Republican who had never touched an illicit substance in my life. I mean, hey, I've talked to your father, and I believe it was right around the same time that he accepted that he had a gay son. He also realized he was pro-choice. Ouch. And you get that one. But really, I mean, I have to say, Jim could totally be a ladies' man. He could totally be a ladies' man. I mean, I have to be honest, there was a time Jim had actually kissed more girls than me, a shameful statistic on my part. But at the same time, evidence, in my opinion, on why y'all have never had the right to vote. But once again, it's absolutely ridiculous the amount of men this dude has made out with. I mean, I used to be jealous over both the quality and quantity of the skirts that Jim would drunken and confusedly shack up with. And by the way, if you haven't made out with yet, I want you to go home, get a glass of wine, have a long conversation with your sister, brother, mother, etc. Because if you haven't made out with Jim yet, there's a good chance Jim's been knocking the back of that person's throat like a speed bag. But here's the thing, that's your great freaking bragging right, man. I mean, at no point will any of us be able to count the victories that this man has had, because per capita, he chases like chicks and straight dudes. I mean, Jim has fucked more boys in the closet than Michael Jackson playing hide and go seek. Yeah, I mean, overall, Jim's sex life has been so secretive and unspoken at a point, it might as well just be like the normal news versus like Homeland Security, right? Like, okay, take me for example. If I have sex with someone, Jim is talking about it, Jill is talking about it, I'm talking about it to everyone. You know, it's the page 6 article.
Nobody thought it would ever happen, that's why.
It might as well be a page 6 article in the packet, and like, you know, next week there's a made-for-TV movie about it on Fox. Which reminds me, Honore, you were magnificently portrayed by Danny DeVito. To be fair, originally they were looking for a natural blonde. Scarlett Johansson was busy that week. And of course, Sam Kinison is dead. So. But with Jim, I'll say, with Jim, it's like preventing acts of terrorism, you know?
No.
The only time...
Everybody count the nine, cast it.
So good.
That was good. With Jim, it's always been like preventing acts of terrorism. I mean, the only time it's really working is when you never really hear about it on the news. Plus, it's never really the people you're thinking of. Like, every time you think of Jim and the people he has sex with, it's like, you know, our thoughts instantly go to dirty, dark-skinned people in secluded, isolated, miserable places. But more than likely, he's topping the dude across the street. I don't know. Now, occasionally Jim has shared some of his exploits with me, and it's never the guy nor the people you think. I mean, if it were a track star, it's always him receiving the baton. If it's a football player, Jim's always 3rd in inches. If it's mud bogging, well, he's just having dirty redneck butt sex. But of course, I gotta take the moment to reflect upon the meaningful relationships with Jim. And of course, Jim has always liked his men like he's liked his coffee. And by that, I mean they're always disgusting, poorly filtered, boiled darkness that if they landed on anyone else's ass would result in a lawsuit.
Chris, I thought he liked it ground up and in the freezer.
I'm not again.
Yeah, I've given Jim a lot of flack about his sex life, but when it comes down to it, Jim always cared about who you were as a person far more than the physical, which is why I believe you started dating Jessie back in the day. And I'll just say this, my God, that kid have a personality that could just leave you walking like a penguin. I mean, just a massive charisma that would choke a donkey. Why I bet, Jim, you still think about his individualism and spirit, and your asshole still gets sold. Yeah, no, really. I remember one time. It's like you had just gotten back from like having coffee and chatting with him, and you were sort of moving like the man on stilts. Great visual.
Oh my god.
Okay, this is
My sentiments exactly.
No, I had always heard about you and Jesse back in the day and the amount of sex that like you had with him back in the day. And here's the thing, I had heard. I couldn't help but wonder what your asshole had to look like afterwards. So what I did, check this out, right? So I found an old English bulldog, right? And I got a pipe wrench and I grabbed it by the jowls. I just started smashing its mouth in. Pretty similar. Just a lot of blood and hanging skin off of the bone. Here's the thing, it just kind of smells like you just menstruated all of Jesus.
Whoa there.
And cut. Next.
By the way, anytime you mention the phrase.
Dessert, anybody?
You guys have to follow this. This should
How's
be
the salmon, by the way?
cakewalk.
Anytime you mention the phrase menstruating olive juice out of your ass, how's the salmon?
Wonderful.
There you go.
Menstruating olive
Well,
juice.
no, I mean, here's the
Truffles
thing.
way.
Well, no, I mean, you've lost weight now, but I'll say this. Back in the day, it must have looked like someone, like, roasting a hairy marshmallow on the end of a billy club.
I bet you could sell this tape to Truffles for a
What a Truffles. Your training video.
And then, of course, he dated Devon.
Oh.
And I don't know where to start
Sorry
there.
about that.
For those of you who don't know
It's okay,
Devon,
Ryan.
take
I
take Arsenio Hall and like combine him with the single most limp-wristed, obnoxious homo on the fucking planet. So yeah, you take Arsenio Hall and you combine it with Max Marino. Oh, kill me. And then subtract all the artist baggage and the personality and the talent, and add like a video game addiction and the human decency of your average West Hollywood crack whore.
Yeah, that's about right. That's about right.
But of course, this roast would not be complete if I didn't mention Jim's biggest lover. No, this is his only lover that's neither black nor white. I'm, of course, referring to his long-term, on-again, off-again, mostly on-again relationship with the marijuana.
Uh-oh. Am I going to jail?
Because here's the thing, I might be roasting Jim tonight, but Jim has been baking himself for the past 6 years.
Okay, applause. Applause for that one.
Jim has smoked enough weed to stun a bull elephant. He smoked so much weed he can't remember his sophomore year of high school.
It's true.
Which isn't a joke, it's just kind of sad. But then again, right after that you starred in Little Shop of Horrors, where you played in a musical, a giant green plant that ate people alive and almost ruined a man's life. I mean, here's the thing, when Freud made the statement that someone was projecting, I don't think they could ever end up on stage with it. But I'll have to say this, what else can I really say about Jim Sigmund that hasn't already been carved on a truck stop glory hole? He's a unique individual, and if he's pissed off enough, if he's pissed off enough at me after this, he'll make me an individual eunuch. But without a doubt, this man has been my greatest friend, my truest ally, my closest companion, and I wouldn't change a thing about him, and I love you, I'm gonna fucking miss you, man.